Right now, as you watch this, millions of people are scrolling endlessly through their phones, chasing their next dopamine hit. They're buying things they don't need, working jobs they hate, and wondering why nothing feels enough. What if I told you that Carl Jung, one of psychology's greatest minds, discovered why we're all trapped in this cycle of suffering, and more importantly, how to break free? I'm John, and today we're diving deep into Jung's most uncomfortable truth, that human suffering isn't a bug in the system, it's the feature. But here's what makes this different from other philosophical discussions. I'm going to show you the exact psychological mechanisms keeping you trapped and give you 3 practical steps to start breaking free today. Jung observed something profound. Humans are like dogs chasing their own tails. We run after happiness, success, love, and when we catch it, we're briefly satisfied before the cycle starts again. But here's what Jung didn't know that we know now. Neuroscience has proven this. Your brain releases dopamine, the pleasure chemical, not when you get what you want, but when you're chasing it. That's why scrolling social media feels good in the moment, but leaves you empty. That's why shopping gives you a high that fades by the time you get home. Practical insight number 1. Your brain is literally wired to keep you unsatisfied. Recognizing this is the first step to freedom. Jung believed suffering was the raw material of transformation. Modern science proves he was right, but for darker reasons than he imagined. You have what's called a negativity bias. Your ancestors who worried about threats survived longer than optimists who ignored danger. So now, your brain scans for problems 24/7. One insult hits harder than 10 compliments. One failure overshadows multiple successes. But here's the twist. You're not just suffering from real problems. You're suffering from imaginary ones. You replay past hurts and rehearse future disasters. Animals get hurt and move on. Humans get hurt and create Netflix series in their minds about it. Practical insight number 2. Most of your suffering happens in your head, not in reality. Learning to distinguish between real and imagined threats can cut your suffering in half. We've been sold a lie, that the right job, relationship, or achievement will finally make us happy. Jung saw through this centuries ago. He knew that celebrities with everything still fell into depression, that lottery winners often become miserable, that having it all means nothing if you're empty inside. Here's what's happening. You're projecting your unconscious needs onto external things. You don't want that promotion, you want to feel worthy. You don't want that relationship, you want to feel loved. You don't want that car, you want to feel successful. Practical insight number 3. Stop chasing shadows. Before pursuing any goal, ask yourself, what feeling am I really after? Then find direct ways to cultivate that feeling. If you're starting to see how deep this rabbit hole goes, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I'm going to show you exactly how to escape these psychological traps. And drop a comment below. What external thing are you chasing that you now realize is really about an internal need? Let's start a real conversation about this. Even our most sacred beliefs are evolutionary tricks. Jung understood that love, as beautiful as it feels, is nature's way of ensuring we reproduce and care for offspring. The butterflies, the passion, the meant-to-be feelings, that's your DNA talking, not your soul. And the modern religion of progress? The belief that working hard and leaving a legacy gives life meaning? Jung would call this another distraction from the void within. But here's where I'll add something Jung missed. These aren't just distractions. They're coping mechanisms. And coping mechanisms aren't inherently bad. The problem is when they become unconscious. Practical insight number 4. Enjoy love, pursue goals, build legacies, but hold them lightly. Know they're temporary experiences, not permanent solutions to existential emptiness. Jung called it the awakening of the tragic spirit. That moment when you realize nothing really matters. It hits different people at different times. Maybe it's looking at your parents and realizing they'll die. Maybe it's achieving your dream and feeling empty. Maybe it's just a random Tuesday when the illusion cracks. Most people run from this moment. They dive into work, relationships, addiction, spirituality, anything to avoid sitting with the void. But here's Jung's radical proposal. Don't run. Sit with it. Feel the emptiness. Because on the other side of that darkness is something unexpected. Freedom. Practical insight number 5. Your existential crisis isn't a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. It's your psyche shedding illusions that were keeping you trapped. Your brain has built-in mechanisms to keep you from facing reality. When confronted with unbearable truth, it releases chemicals that distort your perception. Dopamine gives false hope. Serotonin helps you accept what is. Your limbic system makes you cling to people and things, even knowing they're temporary. This isn't a design flaw, it's the design. We're literally built to deceive ourselves because the alternative, facing reality naked, would paralyze most people. But consciousness gives us a choice. We can recognize these mechanisms and work with them instead of being enslaved by them. Practical insight number 6. Practice meta-awareness. Start noticing when your brain is protecting you from uncomfortable truths. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding right now? So if life is suffering and there's no escape, what do we do? Jung's answer was revolutionary. Stop trying to escape. Instead, engage in inner work. This means, step 1, shadow work. Acknowledge the parts of yourself you've been hiding or rejecting. Your anger, your selfishness, your fear. These aren't bugs to be fixed. They're parts of your wholeness to be integrated. Step 2, active imagination. Instead of being controlled by your unconscious, start having conversations with it. Journal, meditate, pay attention to your dreams. Your unconscious is trying to tell you something. Step 3, individuation. Stop living according to what others expect and start becoming who you actually are. This is terrifying because it means taking full responsibility for your life. But here's what Jung couldn't have known. Modern psychology has given us specific tools for this work. Cognitive behavioral therapy for changing thought patterns. Mindfulness for observing without judgment. Somatic therapy for releasing trauma stored in the body. Here's Jung's most counterintuitive insight. The way out of suffering is through it. When you stop fighting reality, something shifts. You stop needing life to be different than it is. You stop needing to be different than you are. This isn't resignation, it's radical acceptance. You still take action, pursue goals, love deeply, but you hold it all lightly. You dance with life instead of wrestling with it. Practical application. Try this exercise. For 1 week, whenever you feel frustrated, instead of asking, how do I fix this? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Notice how this simple shift changes your relationship with problems. Jung showed us that suffering is inevitable, but psychological slavery is optional. You can't escape the human condition, but you can stop being a victim of it. The goal isn't to eliminate suffering, it's to transform your relationship with it. To become conscious instead of reactive. To choose your response instead of being controlled by unconscious forces. This is the deepest form of freedom. Not the freedom to get what you want, but the freedom to want what you have. Not the freedom from life's challenges, but the freedom to meet them with awareness and grace. If this resonated with you, if you felt that shift from victim to observer, then you're ready for deeper work. Subscribe for more videos where we dive into practical psychology and ancient wisdom. Share this with someone who's struggling with these existential questions. Sometimes knowing we're not alone in the darkness makes all the difference. And here's my challenge for you. For the next 7 days, practice one of the insights from this video. Whether it's shadow work, meta-awareness, or radical acceptance. Pick one and experiment with it. Then come back and tell us in the comments how it went. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Remember, you're not broken, you're not behind, and you're not alone. You're exactly where you need to be to begin the most important journey of your life, the journey inward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we explore preview next topic. Until then, keep questioning, keep growing, and keep being courageously human.